And we're back. This will be my last cast for the day, and we have a ZVP, another ZVP, this time on the map Cloud Kingdom. This will be between Lousy and Tiscal. This was submitted to me on Team Liquid. That's actually a really funny name for a Zerg. Let's see if he lives up to it. So without further ado, let's get into the game. Okay, spawning in the bottom position of the map, Cloud Kingdom Ladder Edition, we have the red Protoss player Tiscal. I really have no idea how you pronounce that little symbol that's over the A. And in the top position, we have the blue Zerg Lousy. Alright, so this is actually the first ZVP that I have actually casted on this map. This map is really... it's really interesting for this matchup. There are a lot of chokes on this map that really play out very differently in TVZ than they do in ZVP. Chokes obviously are very nice for Protoss because of how well chokes synergize with force fields. And the terrain on this map really kind of lent itself very heavily to Colossus play in this matchup. However, you're able to use the high ground, low ground dynamic of moving across the map to kind of position Corruptors in a way that would be able to counter the Colossus play that your opponent's very likely to do on this map. So this map it's interesting for this matchup just because there are so many chokes. It really kind of prompts the Zerg to play a little bit differently on this map than you would normally see. But that being said, I have seen a lot of creative play on this map too. Specifically, I did see a very, very quick 2-base carrier rush on this map, and I can't remember what Protoss that was, but he was against Nest, and that was in the GSL earlier this season. And that carrier play was actually shut down by a very fast Roach Ling push with that just pretty much kept the carriers in the base defending constantly while Nest was able to build Corruptors behind it. So I have seen creative play on this map. I wonder what we will see out of these two players. The one nice thing about the lower leagues, you can say whatever you want about how they have low APM and bad mechanics, but the lower level players can actually be very, very creative. They can come up with a lot of interesting stuff. I know you guys have seen Fun Day Monday. Some of the stuff that lower league players actually come up with is actually really, really cool. So I am hoping that these guys will be able to pull something interesting out for me to see. We do have a pull first coming down here because Lousy is not actually that lousy in thinking that he can go hatch first against Protoss. I have to keep reiterating this. I don't like hatch first against Protoss. I will yell at you Zerg players every single day if you do this against Protoss because it is so risky. But we do have that pull first going down for our Zerg player. He does have 150 gas, so he is not starting speed just yet, which is an interesting decision. This drone is actually going to try and get rid of this probe that is blocking the expansion. He does have 300 minerals, so he can drop down that hatchery. When is he actually going to be able to do it? But this probe is being very, very annoying, blocking that expansion. And what is our Protoss player doing behind this? Well, not that much. He does have those two assimilators down. I think he just made the second one so he could block a potential gas steal by our Zerg player. That's very common in this league. That hatchery finally does go down. Speed has just started, but we do have another 100 bank gas for our Zerg player before he stops. So this actually is a really good place to stop harvesting gas. I don't know if Lousy realizes this, but that 100 gas he'll actually be able to save for when he wants to make his lair whenever he actually feels like he's ready for it. The hatchery timing was a little bit slow thanks to that probe that was denying it. We have a second drone here that's not really doing very much, as well as a few Zerglings that could be out scouting the map right now. These are obviously Union Zerglings. They won't work without a pension. They won't work until they actually get the benefits that they are promised. So they are out here striking in front of this new expansion. They don't like that a new branch is being opened up on the other side of town. They want their benefits. They don't like the scabs that are being employed here. But it looks like the negotiations for the Zergling Union has finally ended because they are now going back out to work to take control of the map, take control of those watchtowers, be the good little scouts that they are. We will see what Lousy is going to be scouting from his opponent. We have a Stargate going down for our Protoss player. That would explain what he's doing with the 2 gas. Is this going to be a Void Ray or a Phoenix build? It is probably going to be a Void Ray build. because Phoenixes are very difficult to micro, and Void Rays are a lot more popular in the lower leagues. But we have a Void Ray going down before the Warp Tech is even halfway done. So this decision to utilize Chrono Boost energy for this Void Ray is actually a very big deal, because now you're devoting a lot of additional resources. Chrono Boost energy is actually like a third resource in this matchup, in the same way that Larva is for Zerg. You need to utilize your Chrono Boost energy because you only have so much of it. How you spend your Chrono Boost energy is really going to determine how your economy is able to play out in the early game. So he does have this Void Ray out on the map. What is he going to be doing with it? Is he going to hunt Overlords with it? Is he going to try and kill drones and potentially queens over at the natural expansion? Or is it just going to chill in this base while he waits for his partner to show up from that the Stargate? So he's going for 2 Void Rays right now. He does not have any interest right now in taking a second expansion. He's really only interested in getting out those 2 Void Rays, and if he wants to actually follow this up with an attack, he can actually do this with 3 gates as opposed to just 2. A 3-gate Void Ray Gateway all-in is actually kind of strong in this matchup. Well, not in this matchup specifically. It's really more something you see against Terrans, but it could actually work against what our Zerg player is doing. But he does have he does have 2 additional queens down. So does he actually see that there are Void Rays out? He may have seen the Stargate actually warping in here. I didn't actually see what those scouts actually saw, but it does look like he expects some kind of airplay from our Protoss player, because he is making this will be the 5th and 6th queens that will be produced from those hatcheries right now. And with 6 queens, you can easily fend off a lot of Void Rays, especially with transfusion, but only up until a certain point. So if Tiskow continues to make Void Rays, he actually could do a lot of damage to his Zerg opponent, but the Zerg player is getting a very strong economy right now. This is not the same type of Zerg player we saw in the previous game. This guy knows how to drone. He knows what drones are for. He has up to 44 drones, which is a pretty good amount to have on 2 bases. He needs to take those extractors if he wants to start making units other than Zerglings right now. He only has the 1 gas. He is dropping an additional evolution chamber, as well as a 3rd hatchery that will be going down shortly. So what is his tech choice going to be? It looks to me like he definitely knows that there are some sort of air units out on the field, and because these Zerglings probably saw the Void Rays right now, he definitely knows that there is something coming out, so he needs to get some anti-air units out on the map other than queens. But he does have a lot of queens, so maybe he even doesn't need to do that right now. It looks like he's going to be getting down that Roach Warren right here that will be able to produce the roaches that he needs to kill those zealots, while the queens are able to deal with those Void Rays. That is actually an absurd number of queens. I don't think I've ever actually seen that many queens this early in the game. So those queens are actually going to be able to take care of those Void Rays, no problem whatsoever. They might even be able to take care of those zealots too, especially if he uses transfusion, which he does. This Zerg player is actually pretty good at knowing how to play this game in this league. So the queens are actually able to stay alive very, very long because they are transfusing each other. We are going to lose 1 queen. We do have a 2nd queen that goes down, but all those Void Rays will get taken down, and it looks like the Zerg player will hold this attack. And with that attack by the Protoss was very, 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 very all in. He only has 1 base, he only has 3 gateways, he doesn't have any other tech other than his ability to produce zealots and stalkers, and without any more Void Rays out on the map, he actually has no military. So our Zerg player is actually just going to be able to roll through him with those Zerglings if he wants to. So we were going to actually see if he's going to make some other kind of tech unit, if he's just going to try and kill him with Zerglings right now. I wouldn't blame him if that was the decision he was going to go for, and it looks like that's what Lousy is going to do. He's going to move out on the map with a lot of Zerglings. We have a pretty good creep spread coming down from the Zerg as well that will allow these queens to move out all over the map, and why not? You made like 9 queens, you may as well use them to spread creep. So I really like the way that Lousy is playing. He's definitely not living up to his name, at least not in my opinion. And that is a lot of Zerglings coming out on the map. He does have 55 Zerglings out on the map at the moment. There are only a handful of Zealots and some Void Rays that are going to be able to deter that Zergling attack. I think if the Zerglings wanted to, they actually could come in here and kill all of this, but maybe not. That is a lot of Zealots. He does have 11 Zealots over there. We'll see what 11 Zealots are able to do against 67 Zerglings. So here we go. The Zerglings do look like they're going to be coming up that ramp. Are they? Maybe not. The Zerglings are going to be approaching the 3rd base that I think he thinks his opponent might have, but he doesn't. His opponent is only now starting his 2nd Nexus, but he is getting that Void Ray count back up. But Void Rays, as we all know, are actually pretty worthless at killing Zerglings because of how slow they shoot. And actually, this is a huge problem for our Protoss player. He is moving out on the map towards his Zerg opponent, and there are now a ton of Zerglings. It is natural. These Zerglings are going to be able to rip through everything in the Protoss base very, very quickly. There are no units here that are able to stop them. The army is walking back, but those are very, very slow Zealots, and they are getting cut off by the remainder of his opponent's Zerglings. That is a lot of Zerglings. These Zerglings are going to come in here. They're going to rip everything apart. There are no units that can stop them. There are Zealots that are coming up here on the ramp right now, but he doesn't even need to fight those Zealots right now. He's just able to start ravaging through the base. There are Zerglings ravaging the probe line. There are Zerglings down the gateways. There are Zerglings everywhere. He has a huge infestation of Zerglings in his base, and those Zerglings will eventually be killed by the combination of these Zealots and these Void Rays, but I don't know. Tiskow has absolutely no economy left over. Those Zerglings did their job. He has no economy left. I think this game is pretty much over. There is literally no way that Tiskow can actually come back in this game right now. His opponent is actually on 59 drones, which is a really, really good drone count for this level. So, and he has a lot of queens, and he's making spore crawlers, and he'll be able to start making drone any sort of thing right now. He's actually just so far ahead of his opponent. I don't even know what to say. I am speechless at how far ahead the Zerg is on his opponent. So really, we are just waiting for the Protoss player to realize that and leave. He probably doesn't, though. He probably doesn't realize how far ahead his Zerg opponent is over him right now. He is going to move out on the map with those Void Rays. Those Void Rays are not going to do very much, not with the amount of queens that his opponent has out on the map, and those spore crawlers. And we even have mutas coming out too. So our Zerg player is more than fine. I think when this army eventually gets destroyed, I think that will actually be what prompts the Protoss player to leave. So really, we are just waiting. The Protoss is now actually using the rocks in front of the base to charge those Void Rays. That's actually what he should have been doing in the first place on this map. You actually want to charge those Void Rays as much as you can, because that makes them so much more powerful and so much more effective at killing everything when they're charged. But he does, of course, lose the charge. Just as I was giving him credit for doing something smart, he actually just kind of bungles it by not actually being able to keep the charge on those Void Rays. So here come the Void Rays again, and he is actually killing all of those queens. Those Void Rays are actually able to do some damage to the Zerg player's base, but we have more mutas that are being put out on the map right now. Those Void Rays are there's only one Void Ray that still has shields left over, and he might lose his second one to the Spore Crawler. Nope. These three Void Rays are still alive. They are continuing to deal damage, but now the mutas are out. That is only a small number of mutas. These Void Rays should actually be able to take care of them, but they are very, very badly damaged. I could be wrong about that. Yep. Those mutas will actually be able to take care of the remainder of those Void Rays, and without those Void Rays, the Zealots are completely defenseless against those Mutalisks, and we still do not have any recovery on the Protoss' end to his economy whatsoever. He still only has 6 probes. He does actually have enough money to make another Void Ray. I don't really know where he got the money to do that. I guess he took out a loan from a bank somewhere. But he's not actually making a Void Ray. He is making a single Phoenix. This apparently is the ace pilot of the Protoss fleet. He will be able to kill every single Mutalist that our opponent has out on the map, apparently. Otherwise, why bother bringing him into the fight? So we will see if this Phoenix is actually able to deal with those Mutalisks. It would actually be the most impressive thing I've ever seen if he's able to do it with just one Phoenix, but I don't think that's actually going to happen. But, you know, I've seen some crazier things before, so let's actually see if this Phoenix is actually able to do that job. I don't think he will. Here come the Mutalisks. He's not paying attention. That Phoenix will go down immediately. That was not the ace pilot that I was hoping he was. I'm very, very disappointed in that Phoenix pilot. And Tiskow leaves the game without even a GG. Okay, Alright, Protoss players, I am not going to criticize Tiskow too much for going one base Stargate. That is actually a pretty decent play if you know what you're doing with it, but he wasn't really controlling the Stargate, and he let his opponent scout the Stargate. I think how he ended up scouting this, and I'm actually going to go back a second just so I can see if this is the case. I think he scouted it because he placed the Stargate so close to the edge of the map right here, just so close to the edge of his ramp. So Zerglings would have been able to scout that if they were able to get some vision up at the top of the ramp. So where is... Okay, so... Yeah, he does... That was actually what saw it. You saw that drone right there? That drone did actually see him putting down the Stargate. If you're gonna be going for a Stargate build, especially if you're gonna be going for a very all-in-ish Stargate build, you really need to make sure that your opponent doesn't scout the Stargate. Otherwise, he's able to do what the Zerg just did. He's able to make a ton of queens, and queens are actually pretty good anti-air. Don't believe the stuff you read on the forums. Zerg does have pretty good anti-air in the early game if they decide they want to make queens, and 6 queens actually is ridiculously difficult to kill with early game air units because of how expensive air units are. So this is actually a very well played game by Lousy. He actually demonstrated a much higher level of skill than his opponent. I was pretty impressed. Like I said already, Lousy was not very lousy. He did not live up to that name whatsoever. So bad name, Lousy. Change your name. You are not lousy at all. Change your name to not lousy, and I will be happy with you. So that will conclude my casting for today. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you actually liked this segment, let me know. If you didn't like this segment, let me know. I will be back probably on Monday because I will be going to a tournament tomorrow with more of my conventional casting of higher level games. So at least for today, this is KT Vindic.